There's an incredibly brazen push coming from Wisconsin Republicans to gut state anti-corruption laws. So Think Progress reports on this, quote, the Wisconsin state legislature has lined up bills this week designed to deregulate state campaign finance law, dissolve the state ethics and elections board, and take away a key tool prosecutors use to investigate political crimes. One bill passed by the Republican-controlled state Senate and Assembly on Tuesday limits the tools available to investigate corrupt officials on the city, county, and state level. All right, so as I'm sure everybody knows, Governor Scott Walker is still in charge in Wisconsin. He had a terrible, pitiful, horrendous attempt at running for president, which lasted roughly 8 seconds. He was leading in the polls just before the race really started, and then the second he opened his fucking mouth in the debates, and the second he was on the campaign trail, everything imploded. He was Rick Perry 2.0. Remember when Rick Perry was leading in the polls, and then he opened his mouth the last time around? It was like, ooh. Even us dumb Republicans can't vote for that. Scott Walker has the personality of a peanut. It's just, there's nothing there. He's like Marco Rubio. He's kind of the definition of an empty suit. He's just a corporate puppet. And this is another example of it right here. So if you're wondering why the Republicans might be pushing for this, at the state level, and that's another distinction that I should make right now, is that at the federal level, the election laws are already very lax. And a lot of that has to do with the Supreme Court and McCutcheon and Citizens United and all the cases that chipped away at good campaign finance laws. At the state level, in Wisconsin, they actually had decent campaign finance laws. And they've been attacking that over time. There's been an all-out onslaught on these laws. So if you're wondering, though, specifically why they're doing this, quote, Republicans in Wisconsin set their sights on reforming the process after it was used against Walker and his staff, 6 of whom were convicted for embezzlement and other charges. A second investigation targeting Walker himself for illegally coordinating with outside conservative groups during the 2012 recall election was ended earlier this year by the state Supreme Court, which also ordered all evidence destroyed. Well, that's weird. Why would they do that? Several judges on that court were elected with the help of the same outside advocacy groups under investigation. Oh, good googly moogly. So Walker and his cronies do corruption. They get sued over that corruption. When they go to the judicial branch, when they go to court over it, the judges are also corrupt. They also took money from the same people that gave money to Walker and his cronies. So like, oh, this case is dismissed, and by the way, bring out that machine that rips up all the papers because we need to destroy the records because we're kind of guilty of this as well. So everybody look away, nobody pay attention, corruption all day long, but who gives a shit? Fuck off, vote for us anyway. Oh my God, it's so in your face. It's so in your face how overt it is. I mean, at least back in the day when people were corrupt, they had the wherewithal and the self-perception enough to realize, I gotta hide it. It's gotta be like under the table in a fucking white envelope, and you act like, you know, you're out to dinner with your buddy, but it's really an executive who you're gonna do favors for, give him some subsidies or some special tax cuts or some shit. This is just like, bleh, not even trying to hide it. Just, yeah, here I am. Remember, Scott Walker was the guy who was caught on tape talking to some billionaire businesswoman, and he said the goal to fight unions is basically divide and conquer. Kneecap the unions by doing that. So he goes out there, he pretends like he's on the side of the working people. He's clearly not. Right to work laws, which they've pushed for in Wisconsin, it's really right to work for less. As studies have shown, they pretend like, oh, we're going to protect you from the big bad unions who are fucking you over. But the people who are in the unions make $1,000 more per year on average than people who aren't in unions. And that's the conservative estimate. I've seen numbers as high, 1,800 and more than that, and better benefits, and the list goes on. So they're just wearing it on their sleeve now, and they continue. They say, today the legislature will debate a bill to make several changes to Wisconsin's campaign finance law, doubling the amount that can be donated directly to candidates and allowing outside groups that can anonymously collect unlimited funds to coordinate with those candidates in advertising and campaigning. Oh, well, fuck this. So what they're saying is, all right, the corruption is still a thing if you give directly to the campaign. So So we're just going to double that limit. I think the number is 20,000 now that you can give. But then they go on to say, well, what if it was, if you give to like the state equivalent of a super PAC, somebody, it's an outside spending group that spends money for you in an election, but they're not affiliated with you. What they're saying here is, well, now that's going to be unlimited, and you actually can work with those outside groups now. But then it's not an outside group anymore. What the fuck are you talking about? You're just fucking playing word games now. This is semantics. This is rhetoric. This is pure sophistry. These guys are going to work for me and take money for me and spend for me, but they're not affiliated with me. But now I'm going to be affiliated with them, and they can take unlimited money. But, don't give directly to me in my campaign, because then there's a limit, because that would be corruption. But give to the other people who are affiliated with me, that's not corruption. Are you fucking kidding me, man? They're making a mockery of our democracy. And now it's not just at the federal level, it's also at the state level. People need to know what's happening here. They need to understand this, and we need to fight back against it. I mean, CNN, where are you? The national news outlets, where the fuck are you? This is the most important issue in America today. This is the reason why we don't get what the fuck we want when you look at the polling data. 80% of us want a minimum wage increase. It's nowhere to be seen. Where is it? I don't see it. Why don't I see it? Because they don't give a shit about what you want. If they did, they would have done that by now. Only 17% of us still want to be in Afghanistan. This Democratic administration is staying in Afghanistan. Why are they doing that? Perhaps they're not listening to you. Perhaps they don't give a fuck about what you have to say. Over 90% of the American people want a universal background check for gun purchases. Where's that? Nowhere. Ass cheeks. Bupkis. It's nowhere to be found, because they don't care about you. They care about what their donors say. It's not just at the federal level. It's also at the state level. They're doing an all-out attack now on the few remaining campaign finance laws there. We got to speak out against it, and people at the state level here need to mobilize as well. We're fighting at a federal level when it comes to Wolfpack and Move to Amend and Represent.us and all these different ways to attack money in politics. At the state level, people in Wisconsin, let's go here. You got to mobilize against this, because this is unacceptable.